Good day, students. Welcome to your online mathematics class with Mr. Ochilon Fresi. It is another time for mathematics. If you have not subscribed to my channel, you can do so today so that you can have access to other teachings. The topic we are considering today is factorization of difference of two squares. Factorization of difference of two squares. The difference of two squares, or the difference of perfect squares, is a squared number or term subtracted from another squared number or term. An expression of the form a raised to the power 2 minus b raised to the power 2 is referred to as a difference of two squares. Below is how to factorize difference of two squares. A square minus b square will give us bracket open a plus b bracket close. Bracket open a minus b bracket close. So how do we arrive at this? You find out that we have a square, that is 2a's, and we have b square, that is 2b's. You pick the first a and add it to the first b. That's what we have in the first bracket. You go to the next bracket, you pick the second a and subtract the second b. Then you close the bracket. That is how we come about that. This is because expanding the result gives the original expression. Thus, bracket open a plus b bracket close, bracket open a minus b bracket close. Then what you do here is you bring out the first term in the first bracket and multiply it by all the terms in the second bracket, and later bring out the second term in the first bracket and multiply by all the terms in the second bracket. That's why we have equals a bracket open a minus b bracket close plus b bracket open a minus b bracket close, which is now equal to a times a is a squared, and a times minus b will give us minus ab. We go to the next bracket, we have plus b times a, which will give us plus ab. Then we have plus b times minus b, because plus times minus is minus, we have minus b squared. They will now collect like terms. We have a squared minus ab plus ab minus b squared. You see that minus ab plus ab will cancel out. That is there. The answer is 0. So we are now left with a raised to the power 2 minus b raised to the power 2. You find out that when you expand, you still get the initial expression. That is to tell you that the factorization procedure works. The next is factorization of different of two squares involving algebraic expressions. Factorization of difference of two squares involving algebraic expressions. Example 1. Factorize the following: a y square minus 36, b a square minus 25b square, c 9x square minus 49y square, d 50a square minus 2. Solutions: a y square minus 36. If you look at this, you ask yourself, why is it that 36 does not have square? If you look at it very well, you see there's invisible square. What do I mean by that? What you have there is y squared minus the square root of 36 is 6. So instead of 36, what you have there is 6 raised to the power 2, which is something as 36, so that you can easily pair the squares. So we have y squared minus 6 squared, which will give us bracket open y plus 6 bracket close, bracket open y minus 6 bracket close. Go to b, a square minus 25b square. Here also 25, the square root of 25 is 5. So what we have there, what we are supposed to have there is 5 raised to the power 2, so that every term will have power 2. So let's factorize a squared minus 5 squared b squared. So what we now have is bracket open a plus 5b bracket close, bracket open a minus 5b bracket close. We go to c, 9x raised to the power 2 minus 49y raised to the power 2. Now the square root of 9 is 3, so what we have there is 3 raised to the power 2. The square root of 49 is 7, so what we have there is 7 raised to the power 2. So in all, we now have 3 raised to the power 2 x raised to the power 2 minus 7 raised to the power 2 y raised to the power 2, which will now give us, we have bracket open 3x plus 7y close the bracket, bracket open, 3x minus 7y, close the bracket. The next is D, 50a squared minus 2. There's something we need to understand here. 50a squared minus 2 is not a perfect square. It's not a perfect square. But 50 and 2 have a common factor, that is highest common factor. And the highest common factor of 50 and 2 is 2. So when we simplify, we'll have a perfect square. Let's go. 50a squared minus 2. If we now factorize, we're going to have, well, let's simplify first. The HCF is 2. Then we now divide 50a squared by 2. We have 2 divide 50, 25. Then 2 divide a squared, we still have a squared there. That's 50a squared divided by 2 will give us 25a squared. Then 2 divide minus 2 will give us minus 1. You see that the terms inside the bracket are now factorizable because that is a perfect square. We now factorize the one in the bracket, 25a squared minus 1, which is supposed to be 5 raised to the power 2, a raised to the power 2 minus 1 raised to the power 2, because the square root of 25 is 5 and the square root of 1 is 1. So if we now factorize that perfect square inside the bracket, we now have bracket open, 5a plus 1 bracket close, bracket open, 5a minus 1 bracket close. The next is factorization of difference of two squares involving numbers. The first one was involving algebraic expressions, but this one is involving numbers. Example 2, factorize the following. A, 13 raised to the power 2 minus 11 raised to the power 2. B, 4.56 raised to the power 2 minus 3.15 raised to the power 2. Solutions. A, 13 raised to the power 2 minus 11 raised to the power 2, which will give us equal to, repeat the first 13, bracket open, 13 plus, we pick the first 11 plus 11, close the bracket. Now go to the next bracket, pick the second 13, we have 13 minus, pick the second 11 minus 11, bracket close. So 13 plus 11 gives us 24, and 13 minus 11 gives us 2. We now multiply and get 48. So the result is 48. We go to B, 4.56 raised to the power 2 minus 3.15 raised to the power 2. Here we don't pronounce it as 4.56. Once a decimal point comes, every other number at the right hand side be pronounced one after the other. So we have 4.56 raised to the power 2 minus 3.15 raised to the power 2, not 4.56 raised to the power 2 minus 3.15 raised to the power 2. No. So the result now will be, repeat the first number, that is 4.56. Then add it to the first number in the other side, 3.15. Then we now subtract 4.56 minus 3.15. When we add, we have 7.71. And when we subtract, we have 1.41. We now multiply to get 10.8711. Then we now approximate, reduce it to 2 decimal places, we have 10.87 approximately. Before you is the exercise. You are required to factorize the following. 1, a raised to the power 2 minus 100, b raised to the power 2, 2, 81, y raised to the power 2 minus 100, 3, 5 raised to the power 2 minus 3 raised to the power 2, 4, 3.12 raised to the power 2 minus 1.55 raised to the power 2. You are to do this exercise as soon as you are through with the lesson. As you go through the lesson, if you discover any difficulty, I'm still online. You ask me question or questions, I will give you feedback. After that, you do your exercise and submit immediately. Thank you very much.